Hello, it's your friendly Parkinson's apologist. Today I will try and help you out by going over and looking at some common tropes and or Bible verses that are often used to try and refute LDS claims. First, I will show you some Bible verses that are often poorly quoted and why you should avoid them. First, if you've ever been laughed at during a discussion, it's probably because you quoted Galatians 1:8. While looking at this verse skin deep, you may have thought you found the definitive verse that disputes Mormonism, but it'd only take a moment of honest thought to tell why this is the number one verse that will get you laughed off of TikTok. First, let's start off with the verse, "But even if we or an angel from heaven should preach a gospel other than the one we preach to you, let them be accursed." Many have made the mistake associating an angel and the Book of Mormon being the means where Joseph Smith got his information. First, the first appearance claimed by Joseph was God and Jesus not an angel. Now let's suppose we make it past that. All a Mormon has to do is ask you in turn what's the gospel being referred to, at which point practically everyone will agree that it's the birth, death, and subsequent resurrection given freely to everyone by Jesus, which the LDS member can, the same gospel word for word as part of the angel Moroni's proclamation to Joseph, so it's not a different gospel at all. Then look at where Paul, the writer of Galatians, got the gospel. At first he got it from what he thought was an angel. So if you want to get laughed off a TikTok live, quote Galatians. Another laughable verse is Revelation 22:18, but for a whole different reason. I'm sure you have heard this quote before, usually from a pastor whose tie gives away quickly just how organizational old this argument is. Usually focusing heavily on the words that his name will be removed from the book. Instead, it's your number being removed from the book of critical thinking. It's easily refuted once you realize the Bible isn't written in chronological order. And when the writing states this book, it's easily understood that it refers to the book of Revelation only and not the Bible as a whole. Every Bible scholar will point out your error. Another verse, although not as easily refuted but quite hard to prove, is the discussion of the thief on the cross. Often this is used to dispute the importance of water baptism. You see, if one believes that Jesus states that he and the thief will be together in heaven the very next day, then according to them, that means water baptism isn't that important. But that is easily full of presuppositions. One must presuppose first that the place Jesus is referring to is heaven, and second, that the thief is a real story since he is only mentioned in one gospel, and last one must presuppose the thief hasn't been baptized. Okay, now for some unbiblical tropes. I'm sure you've heard some of these before. I know you've heard that Mormons believe Jesus and Satan are brothers. Well, not exactly. We do believe that they once were the same way we refer to each other as brothers and sisters, but since he betrayed God, that brotherly relationship is no more. Another one I'm sure you have heard is Mormons believe they will be gods. This is partly true. We believe that we will be like God someday, way in the future, through the atonement. Does not Jesus himself promise that if we endure to the end, we will sit down with him on his throne the same way he sat down on the Father's with him? There are more, but we will leave those for another day. Remember, these are arguments that shouldn't be used. Until then, God bless